I started basically right when I was born because Jeff's my father and he's a professor and a scientist, and I really grew up in the lab. My earliest memories were running around the lab and seeing the mice and all the chemicals and things like that, and it was all very fascinating to me. And so I really was exposed to science through a very organic way, through Jeff and what he was doing in the lab, and then I heard it at the dinner table as well. All the conversation was about science and about biochemistry and about proteins and how they interact with each other. And at that time it was really over my head and I didn't understand it completely. But what was nice is as I matured and got older, some of the things that I had heard throughout my whole life started to make sense to me. I majored in molecular biology and studied science in school. I always worked as well in the science industry. During high school, I worked for professors every summer and was an assistant for professors. And so I was very exposed to the whole experimental process.
My background is in biochemistry. I got my PhD at Johns Hopkins, and then I did a postdoctoral work at Berkeley, and then I came to Princeton in '82. So I've been at Princeton for 32 years now. I taught biochemistry at Princeton for 15 years, and now I teach a course called Special Topics in Molecular Biology. It's whatever I'm interested in to graduate students and upper-level undergraduates. My research for this entire period has been on basic biochemical mechanisms of regulation in cells. And the types of cells I've looked at have ranged from bacteria, and I'm best known for my work on bacteria, to slime molds and all the way up to the human brain. And now I'm working primarily in neuroscience, trying to understand neurodegeneration.
Yeah, I worked at a biotech company called Synergen, and that was my first experience with the whole biotech industry and the drug industry and the business of science. So that was a big part of how I viewed the whole world of science. Jeff and I had always kind of talked about different businesses that we could do, and Jeff always had a hand in the business. He's a bit of an entrepreneur. I think you have to be an entrepreneur to be an academic scientist. You always have to kind of think of new ideas. You're always kind of fighting for that funding. We had a very robust relationship. We talked a lot and communicated a lot. Jeff and I have always been close since I was young, and that's when he started to talk me into moving out to New Jersey and starting up this company. And we actually started a company in Colorado to commercialize that technology, right? ZenChem. ZenChem was the original company for Signum.
And it came out of a company that I had been brought into at Princeton because I had discovered and patented a chemical, not the chemical we're using from Alzheimer's, but another.
So Jeff started Cadis Pharmaceuticals.
I was one of the founders.
Which was one of the founders of Cadis Pharmaceuticals, which was, and I had also had seen that and been a part of that. He would bring me to these meetings, which is pretty incredible. He brought his son to these meetings, which was, I don't think other people would have done that, right? I mean, but it was great that he was as irreverent as he was in order to do that. And
which was very contentious.
It was, yeah, these meetings were incredibly contentious, right? You had the founders and the scientific director, and they were, it was there was a lot of arguing going on. And that also exposed me to some of the realities of business and doing these types of.
This was an anti-inflammatory, which is the basis for our skin company that is another company that a part of Signum.
It really became apparent that we needed more scientific data on the specific mechanism that we were studying in order to just have a more robust package, something that was more compelling. And so that's when I moved out to Princeton and spent about 3 years working in Jeff's lab on the bench and doing some of the foundational work behind Signum. So I did quite a bit of bench work and got all the data, generated quite a bit of data to support our hypothesis around the therapeutic target that we were developing. And so we were also connected to industry. There was some industry connections that we had worked with. And that's where I really cut my teeth in terms of going to companies, pitching to companies, trying to license our technology, developing the technology to a point where somebody would be interested. And then after about 3 years, we formed Signum Biosciences. It was in 2004, so about 3-4 years. And formed Signum Biosciences. We raised about $500,000, and that was the beginning. So it's been 10 years since that happened, and we've gone through a lot. And so it's been quite the evolution to get from working in his lab, from Jeff's lab, on the bench to the point now where we're launching Me Sports. So it's been an incredible journey. Our technology was funded through organizations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation, through the National Institutes of Health, through the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation. And those organizations have put money into our technology, and so that's one way that we will feel that people will gain our trust. And it's who we are, where we come from, right? This was developed at Princeton University with world-renowned scientists that have a reputation and have a history of great science. And real industry leaders and top academic institutions. These are the people that develop this product, right? From the bench all the way to the shelf. And we're real people with real lives, and we really believe in this.